Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben, and this is the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Hey family, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. This is the third episode of Season 4, the 2018 festival season. Throughout the year, I've been travelling around the country to various barbecue festivals, and in this episode, I stay in beautiful Queensland for the Brisbane BBQ Festival 2018. It's one of my favourites. Before we get into it, I want to invite you to join us at the Smoking Hot Confessions community on Facebook. If you're looking for a barbecue group full of open-minded people who just love to help each other out, the Smoking Hot Confessions community is a great place to continue the conversation. Finally, however you listen to this episode, please subscribe, rate and review the show. It really helps me spread that barbecue love. Just a quick note, the audio in these interviews has been extracted from live open-air videos that we shot on the day that were broadcast up onto a big screen. As a result, there's a bit of wind noise, the odd bit of feedback that I couldn't edit out, and occasionally we missed recording the start of the broadcasts. I'll chime in from here in the studio when that happens to make sure you're brought up to date and don't miss a thing. So without further ado, grab yourself your favourite cupcake chicken and an adult beverage of your choosing and join me as I make my way through the Brisbane BBQ Festival 2018.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
Ladies and gentlemen, Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here. It is a beautiful day here at the Brisbane BBQ Festival. We could not have asked for better. It's been raining all week up until today. I don't know what happened. I don't know what Julian did. I don't know how much he sold his soul for, but we have sunshine for days. And I'm here right now with Matt from Smokin' Sappers. We're getting ready for the chicken hand-in, and Matt's going to tell us all about it. So, Matt, how's the festival been for you so far?
So far it's been fantastic, mate. The weather, like you said, the weather has just been the best that it could be, and it's not too hot, it's not too cold. It's been great, and you know what? There's great tunes, there's some great beers, some great food on offer, and yeah, we're just having a great time.
Go Queensland! Woo!
Yes.
All right, so we're getting ready for chicken.
Yep.
Now, you got some action happening over here behind the counter.
Yep.
Can you give us a bit of a rundown on what's going on there?
Absolutely. So right now, the chicken has cooked, it's rested, and now Dale's just saucing up. And what we're going to do is we'll put that chicken back into the pit so that the sauce can tack and get a bit of heat on it. And then when we, in about 10 minutes, we'll pull it out. We'll decide which ones we're going to keep, which ones we're not. 6 will go in the box. The rest of them are going to, us, because I'm hungry.
Me too. That's why I'm here. and I knew that you guys were the guys to come to for some good chicken. So now, just looking at that,
yep.
What cut of chicken is that, and why did you choose that cut?
So we use a boneless chicken thigh, and I suppose, I know that bone imparts good flavour, but when we're looking for consistency, we take that bone out because I know then that each of those thighs are the same weight. They're about the same size. They're all going to cook evenly. They're all going to cook the right way. We've brined them, we've injected them, and then we've cooked them. And now we'll sauce them up, we'll put them in, and we'll see how we go.
Okay, so the first step of that process was brining. Can you tell me about the brining?
So the brining, it has a bit of sweet, it has a bit of savoury in it, and what it does is and a bit of salt. So a lot of people think if you put salt on things, it's going to draw moisture out. It actually locks moisture in really, really effectively. So when we brine the chicken, we brine it for as long as we can. And depending on when we get released to do stuff. So we were released at 9 o'clock this morning. That's when the brine was ready, everything was ready, everything went straight into that brine, and it brined until about 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then we've cooked the chicken since then.
Okay, so you can't actually start preparing the meat before you're given that green light?
Absolutely. So there are time limits that are placed on us depending on with ABA rules and the promoter rules. So we were released to start preparing our meat, so doing things to it other than just trimming at 9 o'clock this morning. So generally you can trim, you can do whatever you want with it as long as it's not imparting any other flavours and it's not doing anything else different to that cut of meat.
Awesome, okay. So what was the second step after brining then? Was that the rub? Was that what you're talking about?
So after we brine it, we pull it out, we give it a bit of a pat dry, we give it a bit of an injection. Now that's generally the same sort of thing as that brine, because remember With competition barbecue, it's just one bite is all those judges are going to have. So you have to put as much flavour into that one bite as you can get. You've got to keep it as juicy as you can keep it. So we've got presentation, we've got texture, and we've got taste. There are three big ticket items. So what we want to do is we want to put as much flavour as we can in, and that brine helps again with that texture because it keeps that moisture in, and it also helps with the taste because it'll give that little bit of extra savoury, and then our sauce is a bit sweet. So then we have that sweet, we have that savoury, a little bit of vinegar in there, and so you've got that balance of flavours across the palate, and it needs to have depth of flavour. So especially because it's just one bite, they take that bite, they chew, they swallow, and then you want that massive hit first up, and then you want a little bit of nuance to come through, and then right at the back end, when they've already swallowed it, you want that little bit of mouth flavour that comes in just at the end that just puts you apart from everybody else.
Exactly, yeah. Well, if it's competition, then that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So how do you arrive at that flavour profile? Like, how do you know what those judges over there in that tent are going to be looking for in their chicken today?
So for us, it's been trial and error, and we've been. So we did Brisbane BBQ Festival in 2016. It was our only competition we did that year, and then we started again in earnest, I suppose, last year. And we kept those. We built on that chicken profile over and over, just trial and error, seeing what judges like. We've been really successful with our chicken for probably since about June last year, about this time last year, when we started getting really good scores, placing in those top 3, top 4 for chicken, and winning and coming second as well. And look, consistency is the key. Like, once you get a good flavour profile, you need to stick with it, because different judges in different places, different flavour preferences, and we all know it's a different place to be. The only thing I don't put in is any heat. I don't do heat at all, because I found that heat is kind of like coriander. People either love it or they absolutely hate it.
That's true. Perhaps that's the reason I'm not scoring so well in chicken at the moment. But anyway, so all right, we've talked brining, we've talked rubs, we've talked injecting. So the next step's got to be into the smoker. Now I can see you've got 3 different types of smokers there. You've got 2 offsets and a bullet.
Yep.
Which one did the chicken go in, and why? And what fuels are you running in there with the chicken?
So the chicken went into the bullet smoker, the Weber Smoky Mountain, and we run Pitt Brothers charcoal, Gidgee lump charcoal, and we put young peach branches in it to provide what we call bubbly smoke. So the young peach branch puts off a little bit more moisture, a little bit moist, but we cook it hotter. So because it's a short period cook, it's not. The reason why I don't put it in the big pit is because that big pit has got my bigger prime cuts in it, and they cook a lot lower than my chicken does. So we cook the chicken a little bit hotter, a little bit faster, and we give it that really nice peach flavour.
Beautiful, I love it. And of course that wood would have been chosen to accompany the flavours of the rubs and the sauces and all that sort of stuff?
Absolutely. So we will trial and error every time, and like I said, we went through a lot of effort to come up with our flavour profiles as they are now. And it took us a lot of time. We ate a lot of chicken. We eat a lot of barbecue. And yeah, it shows on our waistlines, but you know what? It's worth it all in the end. But you need to, when you're looking at your rubs and you're looking at your sauces, you need to look at the smoke flavour that you want to impart, and you want to try and match them, because you don't want to offset a really savoury smoke flavour with a really sweet sauce or a really sweet rub. So that's the way that we look at it. We just try and complement. We just want to build layers of flavour, so when the judge takes that bite, he gets the whole experience.
Beautiful, I love it. Now, I've heard chicken referred to by other competitors as the dirty bird. Can you give me a bit of an idea as to why chicken is referred to as the dirty bird?
So a lot of people don't like chicken. Chicken's actually quite a difficult dish to get right. And a lot of guys think everything's great, and then it isn't. Dirty bird goes back to I suppose it's the slang for Kentucky Fried, and you know, it's greasy, it's salty, it's moreish. It's something that everybody craves when you've had too many beers the day before. So the dirty bird it comes down to it's dirty because I don't like it, or it's dirty bird because it's addictive and moreish like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Well, mate, I'm just waiting to see what comes out of the smoker shortly, but what you had there before looked 1,000 times more appealing to me than KFC any day of the week. Any day.
Absolutely. You know what? I will spend the time and make this at home before I'll eat Kentucky Fried because, it's not something that is helpful for a flavour profile. It's basically salt and some other stuff, and I don't even know how they cook it, so I'm afraid of it.
With good reason. Now, the minutes are ticking by. We are getting ready for hand-in.
Yep.
Can you give us a bit of a run-through of what is involved in preparing a hand-in?
So we have a 10-minute window. It'll start at 5 to the hour or 5 to the hand-in point, and it'll go to 5 past. So in this case, we have a 3 o'clock hand-in. So the window opens at 2:55 and it closes at 3:05 sharp. If you show up at 3:05 in 5 seconds, you don't even get to hand in. So the point is, I suppose, for us, is that we try to manage our hand-in to arrive a little bit later so that the judges have already tasted some stuff and then they taste ours, and ours is going to be better because ours rocks.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I was going to say, do you believe it's better to hand in at the start of the window so that they got nothing to compare it to, so you just go boom first, or do you like to come in at the end of the window and just clean house?
So with our proven flavour profiles, we're coming at the end of the window because we know we're going to do well. And like I said, with our chicken profile, we've done really well in all the comps that we've done, and I'm really happy to hand it in late. If I'm trying something new, then I'll hit it. I'll try to hit early. So you want to wow that judge with the first bite he's taken or she's taken, and you want to really try to influence them that way, and bring on. And even to the point where, if you can, you try to flood their taste buds, if you know what I mean. So just to try and influence them down our track and to give us the best score that we can get.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, I've just seen Glenn bring over your box here to prepare it up. What can you tell me about this box for the people viewing?
So what we try to do is we try to make the box, I suppose, look as appealing as we can. And you'll see Glenn gets quite particular with it. He'll find any rough edges of the parsley. He spent quite a bit of time making the parsley, trying to make it almost look like a golfing green, if you can get it looking like a golfing green. Because what you want is that meat to stand proud, and you want the people to be able to see it and say, wow, that looks amazing. Not necessarily looking at the parsley in the background, but the parsley, it gives just, I suppose, that little bit of perspective just for that meat. And that's what we want to try and do.
I know from a photography point of view, I always like to put the parsley in the background there, just to give it. It makes a nice presentation stage. That's why when you see people trying to sell stuff online, they go and buy all these light kits and backdrops and all this sort of fancy stuff. And I think that's what's really nice about the parsley. So there are some other alternatives to parsley available. Why do you choose to go exclusively with the parsley?
So, to tell you the truth, it's something that we've just always done. So it was something that I saw when we first started, and everybody said you've got to use parsley. You don't have to. There are other options, as long as it's green. So green kale, you can use lettuce, you can use whatever you want. I find lettuce wilts with the heat pretty quickly. The kale can look dull, so it doesn't give that nice sort of it doesn't look as vibrant sometimes. And that's pretty much the reason why we go with parsley.
All right, it looks like it's action time here now. The chicken thighs have come out, the glaze is set on them. I can see it's nice and tacky there. Walk us through what Dale's up to now.
So Dale's now, he's going to look at each piece. He's going to get a small pair of scissors or look at, and he'll pick the most uniform pieces that he can see, and to try to match them, because you want them all to be the same, because if it's the same size, it's the same dimensions, it's going to cook the same, each of those pieces are going to be the same. And you want to try, like I said before, consistency is the key. So you want to be consistent with your tenderness, with your flavours, with everything else. You want to try and keep it as consistent as you possibly can. So he'll just tidy it up. So any bits that hang off and look a bit ugly or that might detract from just that visibility. So when we're talking about hand-ins and how they're scored so there's three major categories. There's presentation, there's texture, and there's taste. So presentation is a simple out of 10 score. So texture is then a out of 10, but it has a ×2 multiplier. Mm-hmm. taste is the most important because, again, it's out of 10, but it has a times 3 multiplier. So a 10 in taste equals a 30 in actual points that we get. So we want presentation, and a lot of the time, texture and taste, all the teams along here that will get very similar scores. What will actually be the standout will be those 1 or 2 points that you get for making the presentation really pop and really look good. And that's where you just need to make it look as appetizing as you can. And once it's handed in, you know, it's all gone, and we'll see how we go.
All right, so what we can see here is we can see all the contestants are all lined up here. They've all got their boxes. They're getting ready for hand in. We've got our judges table down over there. Now, is this the most nerve-wracking part for you?
It's not. By this stage, it's quite a relief in that, you know, we're here now. We've lined up. We know we're going to get a hand in done. The most nerve-wracking time, I've got to tell you, is exactly what Dale just did, and trying to find those 6 pieces that look the same, that are going to be the same, because you never know in the end once you pull that out of the smoker at the end, which is why we do sort of 12 or 18 for 6. So we can try and find those ones that we really think are going to nail it.
Beautiful. Now, give me a bit of an idea of what this lady's doing down here on the table. What's going to happen to your box at this point?
So my box will be delivered. We'll tell them our team name. So she'll write it on the box, and then Rachel will come and grab it and take it into whichever table as head judge. She'll give it to the table captain, who will then present it and let those judges do their thing. Beautiful. And have you actually judged yourself before? I never have. I've only competed. So we are actually Andrew's judged, and I'm judging at Bungalow this year. I thought I'd get on the other side of the tent and see what happens inside.
Mate, it's a very good gig. I've done it several times myself. It's a good day out.
Yeah.
So look, thank you very much for your time, and best of luck to the Sappers.
Hey, cheers, mate. Good to see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here again at the Brisbane BBQ Festival. Fantastic day out, and I'm very fortunate to have Adam from Primal Lion Barbecue here with me. If you don't know Primal Lion yet, you very soon will. They just got Reserve Grand Champion at the Barbecue and Beer Festival about 6 weeks ago.
About 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago. Yeah. And so this weekend they're here and they are going after the big prize today. How's it treating you, mate?
Yeah, going well, man. Going well. Everything's turning out pretty good so far. 2 hand-ins in. You know, pork ribs just going up. We're pretty happy with them. They've come up a treat.
Well, just looking at them here, mate, they look absolutely fantastic. Now, we did see you put them in the box before,
yep.
and they've already been taken over to the hand-in. So, one thing the question I want to start with, based on my interview I did with someone else before, was you're very early into the hand-in window. Why do you go first into that hand-in window?
So we like to leave ourselves plenty of time to box up. If we'd had trouble with the carving of the ribs or weren't quite happy with the glaze, we had time then to get it back on the barbecue glaze again. So we're just right on time, and you know, with that, you're just leaving yourself as best chance as possible of getting the best product in the box as possible.
Awesome. And now, speaking of that product, pork ribs.
Yes.
They are a staple of American barbecue.
They are indeed. They are indeed. I think when you think barbecue, you think 2 things: pork ribs, brisket. Pork ribs, for me, everyone loves a sticky sauced pork rib. You know, it's what bearded man doesn't want. It's barbecue sauce all through his beard from eating a pork rib.
Well, that's why we have beards, so we can so we can get that sauce in there and just keep tasting it again and again and again.
Yeah, this is so true. It's so true. Yeah, it's so much fun to eat pork ribs. You know, nothing better than getting a big rack of pork ribs put down in front of you and going for it.
Beautiful. So walk me through your process. What type of rack have you gone with?
All right, so our butcher kindly give us a bone-in belly, so to speak. So the whole side of the pig, which then at work, luckily enough, I've got a bandsaw and I've cut to shape. So we've got nice 4-inch long bones all the way through the rack. So they were nice and straight, so to make for easier cutting. We've taken the belly off that rack, and this is what you're left with, this cut right here.
So would I be right in saying that that's a St. Louis cut, or is that a custom cut that you've come up with yourself?
As close to St. Louis as I think we'll get in Australia, I think. Yeah.
Beautiful. So what's next? What's next in the process for doing some pork ribs?
So making sure you got the silver skin off the back of the ribs. You've trimmed back to meat with minimal amount of fat because the fat's just not going to render. Getting some mustard on there, getting an awesome rub, which shout out to the Barbecue Mafia. They've hooked us up with La Familia today to put on our porkies. Then they go on 2 hours over charcoal in the Pro Q, and then they come off, they get wrapped with a little bit of agave and butter, brown sugar. Another hour on, hour rest, then they come out and we glaze them with our sauce.
Oh, very interesting. So it's not the traditional 3-2-1 method there. You've kind of adapted your own style, and you've added a rest period in there. Why do you put that rest period in there?
I think they relax a little bit, just like any meat. I think it needs a little bit of time to relax, chill out, and then it helps the glaze set better as well. So once you've let it rest, all that honey and butter has done its job, take them out, let them sort of set with the butter drizzle off, and then you start with your glaze, and I think it works really well. There's a nice smoke ring. Our glaze is well balanced, sweet, salty, sour, hot as well, a little bit of spice in there. So that's where I'm hoping the judge is going to pick up on. So,
me too, mate. I'm in your corner on this hand, and I'm hoping the judges are going to pick yours for sure. Excellent. So I'm going to say thank you very much for your time, and I want that one. Hey folks, Ben in the studio here. In this clip, I talk lamb with Nawaf from Two Smoking Arabs. Let's get into it. Mate, those lamb racks were just absolutely incredible. Now, one thing I've noticed is that when we're typically talking low and slow, we're talking about what comes to mind is pulled pork shoulders, things like that, things that are cooked like really thoroughly. It's falling off the bone, and when I looked at the lamb, it's quite pink. So why do we go fall apart with pulled pork and we go pink with lamb?
Well, lamb, for instance, if you cook it too much, it dries out and there's no juices in there. So when you go for that bite with the judges, what they're looking at that first bite. So if they bite it and it's soft and juicy and just falls off, then you've got yourself a winner. That's what we know. So that's how it goes.
So how do you know when pink is too pink?
Well, too pink. What we do is we go to a stage where it gets like under that medium. What it does is when you take it off the rest, it does give it an extra cook. When it gives that extra cook, you're getting it to medium, just a little bit over. So that's when you know you're done. We pulled it off at about 115. Usually you pull it out about 125, but we went a bit lower than that, tried something different, and that's what we did. When it's pink on the inside, you know that it's nice.
I did sneak a bite before, and that was something very, very special. Now, talk to me about the pulled lamb. I did pinch a bit of that as well.
Yeah.
Mate, that was just sensational. What cut did you use, and how did you go about doing it?
We used a full shoulder, or half a shoulder, but on the bone. What we did was we obviously put the herbs and spices on there, rubbed it, put it in the smoker. We let it sit for about 6 hours, I think it was, and then wrapped it to the colour to temp that we wanted. And then after that, we let it go till about, you don't want to let it go too much because you dry it out. So we let it go to about 210, 215, a wrap that is. And you let it baste in its own jus. And it comes out with the flavours, but if you leave it for too long, what happens is you'll dry it out and you won't get that bite like you tasted with the pulled lamb earlier, how juicy it was. That's what you aim for when it comes to comp. When you're cooking at home, it's totally different. Here, there's a lot of stress. You think 5 minutes on either side is a lot of time, but it's not. Before you know it, it's gone. And then I've been at a comp where blokes just missed it, right? And to have it pulling at that time that you want it is a skill and an art that a lot of boys here in the barbecue teams can really pull things off.
Mm. Yeah, I've been in that situation as well where I've handed in my box, and then 5 seconds later someone's come in and they've handed in their box 5 seconds late, and you just see the heartbreak on their face after they've worked so hard to get that box done, and they're literally from like here to there away, and it's too late.
Yeah, it's happened. It happens to some. What do you do? That's what happens.
Yeah.
It's a competition.
Yeah.
So it's like first, second, and third. If you come fourth, you came fourth. There's no turning back from that, even if you were a split second away.
That is the name of the game, mate. It
100%.
is. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for those bites of lamb. They were absolutely fantastic.
Love being on it.
Best of luck with the judges.
Thank you very much, and good luck to all the teams.
This is Grant from The Smoking Joint, and I listen to Smoking Hot Confessions.
Hey folks, Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here at Brisbane BBQ Festival. Nice and live. Got some beautiful weather, got some beautiful people here for the crowd. We're having a great time. I've got Chris from Pits and Giggles here, and he's about to walk us through the pork hand-in. Now, if you're not familiar with competition barbecue, pork is one of the harder things to do, because trying to make pulled pork look sexy is very, very difficult. So this is what Chris is going to show us how to do right now. Mate, how's the festival been treating you so far?
And overall, it's just been a pretty good little trip. It's the 2 days gets a bit hard to do, particularly because we only got a couple hours sleep last night. So I think I've had 3 hours sleep, and I was up at 4 a.m. yesterday morning. So I'm running on caffeine and adrenaline right now.
Love it. So it's a long, long weekend. When we're talking about pork is pretty much a quintessential barbecue protein. Can you tell us what it is about pork that makes it so important to barbecue?
It was just part of the original. So when the original sort of barbecue came around in Northern America, and particularly in the southern states, it came about because they were looking at the cheap cuts. So the cuts of meat that people didn't want. You can't make chops out of them. You can't make nice roasts out of them. It was the cheap sort of leftover cuts, and how you're going to do that. And there's only so many sausages you can make. Let's face it. So they were looking for a way to make some really, really tasty meals out of these cheap cuts of meat. So the shoulder of the pork was one of those cheap cuts. So the actual cut we're using this is actually a collar butt. Usually we would use a full Boston butt. So the collar butt, and this is going to look a bit strange, the collar butt actually runs from the top of the neck here.
Are you trying to touch my butt?
Shoulder, around into the top of the shoulder, and includes the shoulder blade. So that's the full Boston butt. And the collar butt is kind of the same thing, but without the bone. So it's been boned out.
Beautiful, mate. I love it. Now walk us through what you've got here, because I realise you're on the clock before we get that box in.
So we've got 10 minutes to go. So we've we started off with a single piece of meat. I actually separated out this muscle here. So this is what's called the money muscle. So it's the one that's it's not quite the loin, but it's right at the top where the loin comes into the top of the neck. So we're going to do, because we've got out of this one piece of pork, we're actually going to serve it 3 different ways. So we're going to have the money muscles going to be sliced and sauce, which I'm about to slice this. Put it on here, put some sauce on it. Then I've got some chunks that I've done, which was some of the bigger pieces of muscle that were in there, and I've just got them warming in the Cambrai, and I'm going to put a bit of sauce on them as well. And then, of course, the quintessential, which is pulled pork. Now, funnily enough, the pulled pork you do for competition is slightly different to the pulled pork you do at home, because normally at home you just mush it up, because really what you want is not quite mince, but it's just that, quite mushy stuff. Mm-hmm. But if you hand that in competition, you get pinged. They actually like to see sort of the strings of the muscle and stuff. So if you actually kind of see it in there, that's the kind of pieces you want in competition.
Fantastic, mate. So let's get into it, and you can talk me through what you're doing as you're doing it.
Rightio. So our money muscle is separated ever so slightly here, but I'm going to start slicing through, and we'll see how it comes up. Now, the couple of things I'm looking for is I like that bark to stick on it. So the bark's around the outside, and that's where the seasoning that we've put on has set onto the outside of the meat. So I want some pieces that have got a nice bit of bark on them. I want a nice bit of colour coming through. I'm after some good smoke ring on there. And the smoke ring is, if you look around the outside at the piece of meat, you can see the red on the outside. And basically that's a chemical reaction as the smoke permeates the meat. And it looks cool. It doesn't add too much to flavour. You can actually have a perfectly smoky meat without any smoke ring, but the judges like the look of it, and it just looks cool, to be honest.
We do eat with our eyes first.
Absolutely, and that's why with the scoring, it's done in 3 sections. So it's texture, taste, and appearance. And it is appearance because ultimately what you want and what they gauge appearance on is it needs to, when you look at it, it needs to be inviting and want you to grab some. So here's our money muscle. Yes, please. So Rory's just going to grab my sauce. I've had it warming up on the barbecue over there. We'll just lay some of this out and have a look. I may need to trim this a bit more yet. So I'm just working my way through.
Oh my God, that looks so good. So good.
Yeah, it'll taste pretty good too, I reckon. I've just got to try and get the right pieces sitting the right way so that it'll sit as I want. I'm just deciding I might take just that tiny bit end piece on, because if you have to, while the end piece is actually really nice to eat, it's not necessarily the greatest thing to judge because it can be a little bit salty.
I thought I was going to get that.
It's not too bad, actually. Got that piece there.
I love that bit. All right, cool.
So
That is so good. So good. So this is the sourcing phase, yeah?
Yeah, so the sauce is one that we've made up ourselves. It's actually based on a South American sauce, and James, one of our team members, has made it up. And it's got chipotle and adobo and a few other sorts of things. James, what else is in the sauce? Yeah.
It's got a tomato sauce base with some chipotle and adobo. To make it a bit less spicy, I haven't actually put the chipotles in, just the adobo from that. Some honey, some brown sugar, and a mix of a few basic spices like onion powder and garlic powder.
Oh, man, so good. So good.
Pretty well. Now, those pulled pork strings, I actually had them ready over there already. So they're sitting there about right to go. I'm just trying to avoid having them look too mushy. So as I actually put them in, I'm just going to move this over to there.
Now, this is part of the challenge. We talked about before about making pulled pork sexy, about making pork sexy. It's one of the harder cuts to do. So what are you looking for when you're going from chunks, pulled, and money muscle to get into that box? How do you go about deciding what goes where?
So I've sort of got pictured in my head from the outset what I'm after. So what I'm going to do is the money muscle, I'm going to run down here. Then I'll have chunks at the back and the pulled across at the front. So the only thing I've just got to make sure that the pulled's not too long. I have to just pop that.
We've just been given the hurry up here, mate. We've got 5 minutes to hand in, so I just got to remind you of that. Your partner in crime has just given me the death stare and held up the 5 fingers. So I'll just be quiet and you just talk me through and you just get the job done.
Righto, so there we go. There's my pulled. So I'm just separating them a little bit so that it doesn't look as a sort of a single mushy piece. Then I want a little bit of sauce. Can you just chuck some sauce in there? And I'm just going to, just tip a little bit in. Righto, so I just want to put a tiny bit of sauce. That should just about be enough. Don't burn me. We've had one minor cutting incident earlier today.
But did they deserve it?
Well, it was Rory and he cut himself with his own knife.
Rory, did you deserve it?
I probably did something bad.
Karma, brother, karma.
Righto, so we add that little bit extra sauce to it at the end because you see if the really nice sheen that it gets now. So you get that extra bit of colour, and I'll probably actually even brush a tiny bit more onto that pulled before I put it in. So I need at least 6 pieces. The rules in barbecues, you need to have at least 6 serves of whatever you put in the box. So I'm just working on getting that one out. Yeah, it's a bit messy. It's a little bit ugly, so remove that one. And we'll just swap those that way. See there, they look good.
Very nice, mate, very nice.
So we'll set that one out of the way. And now we want to get this money muscle as the final.
How are you choosing which pieces are going to go in there?
I'm actually trying to get the ones that have got the most consistent, that haven't got too big a gap in them or too big a slice going on. So I'm trying to look for consistency in, as much as I can, consistency in size and shape. That one, no. Bigger. With an angle. That's him. Righto. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to try and line these up on here first.
We've just been given the 2-minute warning. I think we've got about 1 minute left.
Yep. We're going to do that. We just need a little bit of sauce on the outside. Quick bit of sauce on that.
So it's almost like putting the Peppa Pig jigsaw back together.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. Trying to get them all in and set. Righto. So once we've got the collection I'm liking and I'm happy with, then I'm going to put that way. Yeah, it's the way they do actually sit better like that. And that will go in. Righto, and then I'm just going to lay them back a little so you get a good look at that smoke ring as it's sitting in there.
So the sexy pork needs to like recline back and lounge in the box a little bit there.
Just relax and chill a little bit. So there we go. So there's the box ready to go. So we've got a nice neat edge. I just trimmed that back, you saw, with the knife, just to make everything fit. The chunks are all nicely set. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of... just set the sauce tin there for me, please. Thank you. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of sauce back on top of these. Just, you see the difference it makes in the colour. It just gets that colour up a bit more and makes them shine up a bit. So it just makes that, it gives that real moist look to it, so it looks really inviting and makes you want to jump in and grab some, as we all probably are wanting right at this point, looking at it. And there we go. That's ready to go.
Mate, that is some sexy, sexy pork. Well done.
Thank you very much. We'll have got our box there about ready to go. We have actually a special carry that my wife's made for it. Sorry, we've got to grab our own photo of the box. So we're just knocking that off now.
That is some sexy, sexy pork. Nicely done, Chris. Nicely done, mate. Thank you very much for your time. We're going to put this in the special box carrier now, because it is very important that the box loses as little temperature as possible between here and the judges' table. And, mate, we wish you all the best of luck on your way, and we hope to see you up on the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here again. I'm super lucky. I'm here with a great lady who does a lot of Q for a good cause. We've got Linda from Highland Q. She runs the Q for a Cause competitions coming up soon. Very good cause to get behind. Linda, how is the Brisbane BBQ Festival treating you?
Really good, actually. The weather's held off for us. Our cook so far has been pretty good. One hander we're not happy with, but that's barbecue for you, so we'll see how we go.
That is very true, very, very true. Now, you have a very interesting accent, and I understand you may have travelled the world a little bit recently. Can you tell us a little bit about that trip?
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Aberdeen in Scotland. So Mick and I went across with Ethan and did 8 weeks over in the UK and competed in Scotland and England. And so, yeah, it was a real eye-opener and, yeah, great experience.
Now, don't downplay it. I know you happen to do very, very well over there. So don't be humble. Tell us all what happened and how it went down.
Well, we did a couple of comps. We actually came first in Chef's Choice in our first comp in Scotland. It's the first ever comp, so that was really a proud moment for me. And then at the Champions League at Brewing Q in Burton-on-Trent, we got first in brisket, which was, we a bit fell off our seats, but it was against all the top GC winners in Europe, so we're very, very proud. And we did it with an Aussie brisket, so...
That's even better, that's even better. Now, it looks like Mick is getting ready to slice the brisket here.
Yes.
So we'll take a few steps in close and tell us a little bit about brisket. Why is brisket so central to barbecue?
Oh, look, I suppose brisket's always been part of, in the early days in America, it was one of the 4 proteins that, was always cooked. It originally was a very cheap cut of meat, and by cooking it low and slow, you end up with something that's absolutely amazing.
Beautiful. So now walk me through, without giving away your secrets, what did you do to get this brisket looking as good as that? All
right, well, we do a lot of trimming for competition brisket, so we usually do all our trims before we come to a comp. Then we actually cook at around about 275 to 300 for our briskets now, because that's what our Pro Q likes to sit at. And we can probably pull off a brisket in anything between 4.5 to 6 hours. And then we let it have a good rest for probably a couple of hours. And we hope for the best.
That's awesome. Now, I've heard some people talking about points and flats. What are we looking at here?
This is the flat. So I always separate my point and my flat. Because it usually cooks quicker, and it gives me more control as to whether I pull the point off earlier, etc., etc. We've actually got the point sitting on the all cubed up and ready to go for some burnt ends, and this is the flat. So Mick usually starts cutting it, and he'll judge tenderness and whether we need to go for slightly thicker slices or thinner slices, and he usually does all the standard tests, the hanging over your finger, and which that looks good, pull apart looks good. Now we'll try it, and if he makes good sounds, then usually it's a good thing, pretty good. Good.
What's the verdict, Mick?
Pretty good.
Awesome. Okay, so you mentioned 3 tests there. So there was the taste test, that's obvious.
Taste test, yeah.
What's the bend test, and why is that important?
The bend test, you've got to get your brisket to just a certain tenderness. The bend test, if you haven't cooked your brisket long enough, it's going to be dry, and you won't get that bend. It'll be really stiff. If you overcook your brisket, it'll be pull apart. So you pull it over your finger, it's just the weight of the brisket's gonna just drop either side of your finger. So if you can get it just to hang there, that's fantastic. And then there's the pull test, and you want to be able just to pull it gently apart. And that's usually what we try and aim for. Obviously, you always try and get that appearance looking nice with a nice smoke ring and things like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, appearance isn't your greatest factor in scoring for competitions. So we'd much rather have the tenderness and the taste nailed than anything else. It's looking really good at the moment. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that one.
So tell me about what's been left here in the foil. What's that over there?
All right, so that's basically just the cooking juices that's come out of the brisket, and also a little bit of stock that we put in when we wrap. We always put a little bit of stock in just to keep that moisture in there. I've actually got some more stock just warming up on the ProQ now, and what we do like to do is just before we put our slices in the box, we like to just dunk them a little bit in just some stock, and it just again sucks up the moisture into it and keeps it nice and moist by the time it gets in the box and taken to the judges, and so it doesn't dry out when it's, because obviously air's not your friend, so as soon as the air gets to the open slices, that's when things start to dry out, so you want to try and avoid that as much as possible.
Want to go grab it, bud?
Yeah.
Of course. All right, now we're going to see what's coming up next.
So now it's just a case of deciding what part of the flat we want to use. Usually we try and steer away from the start of it. We learned very early on, and we would be cutting into a brisket and think, oh, we've ruined it, you know. But persevere, go further into your brisket, because that centre part is probably where you've got your best slices. So never think that just because the front end of your brisket's a bit dodgy, keep going. Because the amount of brisket we've probably left on our bench that was probably, you know, a place, and we haven't, it's ended up getting put to the dog.
Literally leaving money on the table.
So more or less all we do now is very carefully, we've only got to put 6 in the box, but what I do like to do, we've judged, and I don't like being a judge that's left with just one piece to choose from. So what I try and do is at least put at least 7. If I can fit 8 in the box, I will, because it gives that last judge just that choice of slice, and he's not left with the one that nobody else wanted.
Well, we are a culture that is accustomed to large serves, and so we do tend to feel a little bit ripped off.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, it's always a good idea to put more in the box than you need to.
Yeah. So I'll get Mick to maybe get the burnt ends. So the next step for us, we're happy with the flat. So the next step for us is, do we want to put the burnt ends in the box or not? And again, that comes down to, if you don't think they're good enough, don't put them in. I think we've made that mistake a couple of times, thinking that judges expect to see a burnt end in the box. But if they're not up to scratch, then yeah, it's going to pull your whole score down.
So tell me about burnt ends. What are burnt ends?
Burnt ends are the point. So, you know, history sort of dictates with burnt ends that they're usually sauced, usually very sweet. They're cooked down to, there's a lot more fat in the point than there is in the flat. So they're a lot more gelatinous, so they need that little bit more cooking, which is why we put them back in the liquid and just let them, not stew, but just baste in all those juices, and it just makes them really tender. So the whole object is to put it in your mouth, and it's just that really nice beefy morsel. Doesn't always work that way. But hopefully, I'll get Mick to taste one now. He's usually the taste tester.
He's literally the beef eater.
He is the beef eater, and he will decide. They're very hot, but he will decide whether he likes it and whether we put it in the box or not.
Ooh, let's see.
It's going to be hot.
It looks bloody hot. So, sorry. It's melting in the mouth.
Oh, that's a pass.
That's a pass.
Absolutely.
Right. We'll blame him if it doesn't work. All right. So now it's just a case of boxing it up. What time have we got? Oh, yeah, need to do it. All right.
So slices first?
Slices first. I usually pop them at the back. So this is the tricky part, because you're just going to try and judge how much you can fit in there and still make it look pretty and leave enough room for your burnt ends at the end. Okay.
So if you're putting in 8 slices, are you now going to be looking for 8 burnt ends?
you probably won't, because of the size we cut them, probably won't fit it. If I can get, like I said, more than the 6, I'll do it, because obviously I want that judge to have the choice. But if I can only fit 6 in the box, then that's what I'll do. 2, 3. I think 2, 4, 5. No, I think we're only going to get 6 in this one. But that's fine, you only have to put 6 in, so we won't get penalised for that one.
That looks amazing, Linda. That is absolutely dead set great work. And of course, Mick as well. We can't forget Mick. Great job, mate.
Thank you.
This is looking fantastic. Now, who runs it to the judges?
That's my job. Yeah. Although Ethan, I'm training him up nicely.
Oh, it's Ethan's job. He's very keen over there.
Yeah.
He's looking forward to it. There you go, mate. Excellent. Hey folks, Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here, Brisbane BBQ Festival. It's been a ripper of a weekend. One of the men who's been working like a dog this weekend, he's been up doing demos of Picanha on the stage. He's always loves talking to people and sharing what he knows. It's Brett from the Flaming Mongrels. Mate, how's the festival been to you?
Mate, it's a fantastic day today. Just had our last hand-in and it's been a pretty massive event. 2 days, 6 hand-ins. Not many barbecue comps you go to these days have 6 hand-ins. It is a bit of a mission. You got a lot to do. You got a lot to think about. There's rubs and sauces and proteins and eskies and fridges and cold and barbecue and fire and wood and smoke. So we got a lot to think about. It's been a big weekend.
No doubt, mate. Now, I know one of your favourite ones to do is beef ribs, and I just saw what you did before. We've got some left here in the smoke and have a look at. Mate, walk me through beef ribs. What is it about beef ribs that just makes it so good for barbecue?
So, of course, the beef rib is the muscle in the beast that works really bloody hard. It's a muscle that needs to be cooked super low and slow. I was up earlier watching you on stage talking about beef ribs, and yes, there's a lot of connective tissue. There's a lot of the fat inside the beef ribs, but cooking it low and slow. So long cooks for our beef ribs. Went on nice and early this morning, about 7 a.m. And that breaks down all the fat. They just turn to marshmallow, mate. They just are amazing. The feel in your mouth is just brilliant. We like to sauce our beef ribs. They just do need a little tiny bit of sauce because there's quite a lot of fat content there, so something to break that fat content down.
Mate, that sounds lovely. So without giving too much away, can you give me a bit of an idea of the flavour profiles and that you do put on there without telling me your secrets?
No, sure. Look, beef doesn't need much more than salt and pepper. We use our Lane's barbecue rub. I think we may have used Lane's espresso. That helps a little bit, and a little bit of our brisket rub with some salt and pepper. We've had a long cook. We're trying to create some good bark on the outside. It's rested for a while. We've put it back in the barbecue just to crisp up that bark right at the end. It's turned out pretty good. We're pretty happy. So.
And what does it take to make a beef rib look good in a box?
Well, beef ribs are pretty ugly. They look really good when you cut them up, but once they've been sitting in the smoker for a while, you can sort of see there they never really turn out uniform in any way, shape or form. So there's a fair bit of slicing and neatening up to make it look presentable. You want to grab as many presentation points as you can. You're going to eat with your eyes. So of course we're going to make it look as best we can.
Beautiful, mate. Well, thank you very much for your time and best of luck for the awards presentation shortly.
Thanks, champion.
Hi everyone, Nathan from Smoke and Daggers Barbecue. Ben's just asked me to have a quick talk to you and run through some of the equipment we use. So I thought today I'd talk to you about knives and keeping them sharp and what's a need to have and a nice to have. So basically in our kit, we keep it quite basic. Just got 2 knives, one small little 5-inch boning knife. This is a Wegner Swibo knife, quite stiff blade. It's very good for cleaning up briskets, removing fat. There's a few on the market that you could have. Vitrinox is a very good brand. Anything small like that, very good for cleaning up. The other one is, of course, our main slicing brisket knife. Both of these knives aren't that expensive. This is about $80 from King of Knives. Nice straight blade, quite long, good for keeping your cuts nice and clean. And then this one you can pick up for $20, not too much at all. Probably the main thing you really need to focus on is how to keep them sharp. So everyone can buy an expensive knife. There's plenty of expensive knives out there. but they're only good as long as they're sharp. So for me, for what I travel around with, it's quite easy. It's a little easy lap stone. So it's steel, it's just pitted steel basically, both sides. One's a 600 grit and one's a superfine 1200 grit. Now I find that very easy to keep my knives sharp, brings back an edge quite easy. There's plenty of different options out there. You can get oxide stones, genuine proper stones, prices range. These are about $150, but they last forever. I've had this one probably 10 years. I've used it, come from the meat industry background, so I've used it quite a lot. So my advice, start cheap, get a cheap knife, but a good quality stone. Good quality steel. This is good, it's nice polished steel. About $180 for one of these, but it'll last you forever. Again, this one's had a lot of uses and just practice. No one's going to be a professional straight away. It took me a long time of blunt knives before I got good at it, but you will get better. You'll start to, as you get better and you develop the skills, you'll start to learn what a sharp knife feels like, and then you can get to the point of getting more expensive knives. There's a lot of specialty knife makers that make knives like this, that custom handles, custom steel, they'll set you back $400 easy. But a $400 knife is no good with a blunt edge. So again, cheap knife, good quality stone and steel, and just battle through and keep practicing. So thanks for listening in. Again, Nathan from Smoke and Daggers. I'll see you later.
Got a project you'd like to work on with the SHC team? Shoot Ben an email on ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation.
All right, I want to introduce my trophy girl, Big Willie. Badass Barbecue, thank you very much. He's the looks, I'm the muscle. All right, so just to go through, I'm going to call the top 10 as I normally do. Give everybody the on the ABA. So, chicken, Dirty Bird, we love this one. Tied in 9th place, we have the Brizzy Basters. We've also got the Mile High Porkers. Tied in 7th, we've got Big Smoke Barbecue. And we have Bluebird Barbecue Crew. Tied in 5th, odd numbers, Primal Iron Barbecue. And we also have, tied in 5th, the Based Brothers Barbecue. In 4th place, we have the Smoke Kings. All right. I need my trophy girl.
Cue trophy girl.
3rd place chicken.
Dun,
It's
dun,
massive.
dun, 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 dun.
3rd place for the Dirty Bird, Manning Valley Smokers.
Yeah.
All right, 2nd place in chicken. Once the old boy gets off the stage, we have Dry Rub Thugs. First place chicken, and I must say that chicken was the judge's favourite for the weekend, with a score of 339. They'll hate that I've told everyone that. The Smokin' Hot Bros.
Smoking.
All right, pork ribs. My favourite. So top 10, we're starting with tied in 9th place. We've got Smokin' Hot Bros. Double Barrel Barbecue. In 8th place, the Charcoal Project. In 7th, we have Smoking Dog Barbecue. Tied in 4th, we have Manning Valley Smokers. We've got Mile High Porkers and Puff Puff Based. All right, so number 3 in pork ribs, Smoking Cods Barbecue. This is their 3rd event ever. In 2nd place for pork ribs by 2 points, the Brisbane Basters. All right. Who are the new rib king or queens? Well, all the hard work at Walter's Steakhouse has paid off. Primal Lion Barbecue. Okay, to round out day one, yesterday's judging, we have lamb. It was very lamby. Trophy girl? So top 10 again, guys. In 10th place, Country Boys Barbecue. Thank you. It's the helmet, Dan. 9th place, you have Charcoal Kings. In 8th place, their first ever comp, Fiery Briskets. In 7th, we have Highland Q. And in 6th, we have Family Q. Tied in 4th, we have the Brizzy Basters and Bluebird Barbecue Crew. All right, 3rd place, Willie's Giant Trophy, Manning Valley. Just have to unlock my phone. All right, in 2nd place, Trophy girl, the Smoke Kings. First place in lamb. Youngest team on site, Double Barrel Barbecue.
Double barrel.
Double Barrel NCAM. All right, nearly there. Moving into day 2 now. We've got pork. Once again, top 10. We're going to start with 11 because there's 3 tied though. So tied for 11th, we have Up in Smoke. This is for pork. We have Highland Q. Smoke and Daggers Barbecue. Tied in 8th, another 3. The Smokin' Hot Bros. Flamin' Mongrels. Smoking Cods Barbecue. In 7th, we have the Beard and the Barbecue. In 6th, Smoking Barbecue. In 5th, Smoking Dog Barbecue. And in 4th, Double Barrel Barbecue. So 3rd place, up to stage please, Pits and Giggles. Second place in pork, Dry Rub Thugs. So, first place pork, thank you for making the trip to Brisbane, Big Smoke Barbecue. Nearly there. All right, brisket, the king of meats. Top 10. Where is my trophy girl? You're slack, mate.
Go, Fran.
Lucky you're not wearing a bikini. All right, top 10. Here we go. 10th place, Mile High Porkers. Tied in 10th, the Beard and the Barbecue. In 7th, three-way tie. Charcoal Kings, Big Smoke Barbecue, the Brizzy Basters. And I will say that from 7th up is 330s, so Xbox is back, baby. 6th place, Primal Lion Barbecue. In 5th place, an equal noisy team, Smoking Sappers. 4th place, Manning Valley. Yep, lucky you don't have to walk this time. 3rd place, welcome to the stage, Signature Smoke. 1 point between second and third. In second place, brisket, the Smoking Hot Bros. Okay, and by another 1 point. First place, brisket, Double Barrel Barbecue. All right, last one, beef ribs. So we'll start with 11th because I can. 11th place, Flamin' Mongrels. Tied in 9th, we have Pit Crew Barbecue. And 2 Smoking Arabs. In 8th place, we have Serial Grillers. A team that sums up my nature in 7th place, Bogan Barbecue. In 6th place, Double Barrel Barbecue. 5th place, second comp, Signature Smoke. In 4th place, we have the Smoke Kings. And 3rd place, please come up to the stage, the Beard and the Barbecue. 2nd place, Beef Ribs. And truly the loudest team, I think, in the nation, Drunk on Smoke. Whew, this one scares me. Beef Ribs, first place. 4 points from a perfect score. It was all in the helmet, Country Boys Barbecue.
Well done.
So, grand champion, I'm going to announce 10th to 4th, and Julian is going to say a little bit, get the suspense happening, and then we'll go 3rd, because they also get a prize, 2nd, and then 1st place. So, in 10th place overall, we have Bluebird Barbecue Crew. This is out of 43 teams, I believe, so that was awesome. 9th place, we have the Beard and the Barbecue. In 8th place, we have the Smoke Kings. In 7th place, Country Boys Barbecue, also known as the Tin Man Shrek. Thank you, Willie, for that. 6th place, Primal Lion Barbecue. In 5th place, the Smoking Hot Bros. 4th, Manning Valley. And now I'll hand over to Julian. Who didn't know I handed over? Julian.
Thanks, Rach. Hey guys, really quickly, I didn't want the suspense at the beginning to be too long, so we'll cut it to this time. There's a few more thank yous we need to say. I'll go through it really quickly. A big round of applause for Brett from Flaming Mongrels for his lovely demo. Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions. Michael Wilcox from Badass Barbecue. Morgan from Wild Smoke. And also a very big thank you to our sponsors. Heat Beads, a major sponsor. Sun Pork, Newstead Brewing, 1300 Cabs, Mantra Hotels, and wonderful, wonderful support from Tim from Reese & Sons. Big hand for Tim. He did all the catering for the VIP section, and everyone thought they got a fantastic feed. There's one guy who came and had 3 burgers yesterday and 2 burgers today. You got to say that's a good thing. And ladies and gentlemen, I mentioned our charitable partner is Beyond Blue, and we'll have them a bigger part of the next event. And last but not the least, Newstead Brewing, who has provided some fantastic beer. Big round of applause for them. Did I say last? I did say last, but a big thank you to the ABA for the support. Rachel, Dean, Sinead, and the rest of the crew. Thank you very, very much.
All right. Third place, they get a trophy, heat beads, and $500 cold hard cash. Welcome to Brisbane Big Smoke BBQ. All right, RGC. So RGC get a beautiful trophy, whoever my trophy girl is this time. Benny, stepping in. They get $750 cold hard cash and some more heat bead things that Julian will just pull out magically. Second place, or RGC, we have the Brizzy Basters. Grand champion at the new venue, new location of the Brisbane BBQ Fest 2018. Trophy, heat beads, $1,000 cash, a kiss from Willie and a hug from me. Welcome to the stage. Welcome back, Double Barrel Barbecue.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for coming to the 4th Brisbane BBQ Festival, my first. I hope to get your continued support. A very, very big thank you. A big round of applause to all of you, please. Put your hands together for yourselves, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
There you have it, the Brisbane BBQ Festival for 2018. Massive congrats to the Brizzy Basters on RGC and Double Barrel for Grand Champion. And thanks to all the folks who were part of the show. Join me next episode as I jump on a plane and head down to the always beautiful Foster in New South Wales for the incredible Q for a Cause charity barbecue competition. Before I let you go, jump on over to Facebook and join us at the Smoking Hot Confessions community. If you're into barbecue, we're into you. And finally, take a minute to subscribe, rate and review the show. This episode's supporter shout-out goes to Evil SS for their 5-star rating and stellar review on Apple Podcasts. It is very much appreciated. Well, that's the end of the show. Till next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.